Okay, thanks.
My name's Jen Robinson. I'm legal counsel to Julian Assange. Today in court we heard the same old tired arguments from the United States government, arguing that this is not journalism, that somehow Julian Assange and WikiLeaks did something other than what the New York Times and other publications who were involved in publishing the same material were involved in, arguing for this journalist to have life sentence, what is effectively a life sentence in prison, 30 to 40 years in prison for publishing this material. As you heard in our rebuttal, basically the US spent more than 2.5 hours talking about the publications and the capacity for harm that releasing this material could have without giving any evidence of that harm, and without acknowledging the fact that these publications revealed evidence of war crimes, illegal drone strikes, rendition, torture, human rights abuse, corruption, and without acknowledging the public interest in these publications. So in terms, the judges were very interested. I think it's really important to acknowledge that judges were asking very difficult questions of the US government, which they were unable to answer, around the application of the Official Secrets Act in this country to publishers and what that would mean. And what that would mean from a free speech point of view, about the fact that we do not have an assurance from the United States government about that Julian would not be subjected to the death penalty. And the judge asked questions saying to the US, could he, on the facts in the indictment, be charged with an offence once in the United States that would attract the death penalty? The clear answer from the US was yes. The judge asked, was there any impediment to that happening or any protection against that? The answer was no. And so they couldn't take that argument any further. So clearly the judges are troubled both by the Article 10 questions and by this issue of whether Julian could be subjected to the death penalty once returned to the United States, and the failure of the United States to offer an assurance. So there's certainly more than enough there, I think, for the judges to grant permission, but it remains to be seen. The judges reserved their decision. We will have to wait to hear. The decision won't come before the 4th of March, which is the deadline for the submission of final written material they've requested from counsel. So we'll have to see what happens after that, but we won't get a decision until after the 4th of March. But I think it was a really positive day for Julian in court, and it's important that the court heard from our side a detailed exposition of how Article 10 applies, why Chelsea Manning is a protected whistleblower under the existing law, under the jurisprudence of the European Court of Human Rights, and why in receiving and publishing that material, Julian, as a publisher, was engaging in free speech protected activity. And so I'm really pleased that the court heard that today, and that that position was so forcefully put. It was very compelling.
So what do you think about the chances if you win compared to if you lose?
Well, the prospects for Julian, if we win, if we get permission to appeal on any one ground, we're then in the British appeal processes. It'll be set down for a hearing at some point in the future. He will remain in prison, which is not an ideal outcome, but at least he's not being extradited to the United States. If we're unsuccessful, we will apply to Europe. So there's no further domestic appeals in this country. We've exhausted all domestic remedies if we're unsuccessful this week, and we have a European Court of Human Rights application ready to go for provisional measures. That is an exceptional measure. It's not guaranteed, but we think we have good grounds to make that application, and we hope that the European Court would step in to protect Julian from extradition. So either way, we've got a bit of time to wait to see what the outcome will be, and we have a plan in place for whatever the outcome is.